Did you lose all your money?
Yeah, absolutely everything. GFC took all my personal stuff. My business was on the verge of completely crashing. I was at the point where, okay, I need to restart. I was never ever really super happy back in Hungary. As a result, I was always looking for other places, options. Before I decided to actually uproot my life and move on, I worked in Europe in several different countries. UK, Belgium, Switzerland. Then GFC came, taking absolutely everything that I had.
What happened?
Long story short,
Zoltan Mark came to New Zealand with some money and a dream. Now he's helping businesses thrive in the age of technology, building an IT business from zero. But the path wasn't easy.
it was definitely quite a shock, but to my biggest surprise, it wasn't a shock in a way that I expected it. I was also prepared for a very rough life for about 2 years or so, because I thought that's how much I would need to actually establish something comfortable, which went surprisingly much faster than that. I came here thinking that yes, I do speak English. In about 2 hours, I had to figure out that no, I don't.
How have you been able to grow your business?
I started this business in 2019. I tried a lot of different channels, advertising, networking events, whatsoever. The thing that really works is good old word of mouth. Do a good job and people refer you. That's really what works.
Surely you've had a lot of challenges running a business here in New Zealand. What has been some of the biggest struggles for you?
I would say that there weren't really.
Quick one, Mina here. Thank you for watching this episode. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. One thing that you can do for me is to please hit the subscribe button below. A lot of people who come and watch this podcast or listen to the podcast are not subscribers. And so we're trying to increase our subscriber base. We are wanting to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I promise you that if you hit subscribe, I'm going to work hard to make sure that my episodes are really good, that will get better and better. So, do we have a deal? Okay, back to the episode. Zoltan, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, great to be here.
Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I am really excited about unpacking your story, and it is so fascinating and interesting. Can you tell me a bit about how your background influenced who you are today?
Oh, that's a big question. I don't even know where to start the answer to that one. Should I go back to the when I was a child, many moons ago, like in the 80s?
You could tell me about maybe astounding moments when you were young that influenced who you are today and what you do today.
I think it is down to two significant people. One is my father, the other one is my grandfather. My father used to be an electrical engineer, and because of that, I've always been very, very close to electronics. And surprise, surprise, that is how I ended up with computers. Yeah. So that's obviously one very, very big influence. The other one is my grandfather, who used to work in big factories in the maintenance department. So he was always working on fixing something. And that is where I learned all the skills that I have for fixing things. And that's been there with me since then. That I always work on some DIY, some side projects whatsoever.
So you came to New Zealand how long ago?
It was in 2024, then 9 years ago, in 2015.
From which country?
From Hungary. It's a tiny country in Middle Europe.
Can you tell me about that? Like, you came with a suitcase and... Yes,
and the tiny amount of money. Yeah, so the story...
How much was it? How much did you come with?
Huge, $4,000. That was all I had back then. That was all I could save up. Yeah, the whole story started pretty much in the early 2000s. I was never ever really super happy back in Hungary, and as a result, I was always looking for other places, options. And before I decided to actually uproot my life and move on, I worked in Europe in several different countries, like UK, Belgium, Switzerland, and so on. And that was all of those were quite an eye-opening experience, showing that, hey, things can be done differently than back at home. Then GFC came, and the aftermath of that ended up taking absolutely everything that I had.
What happened?
Long story short, a mortgage went horribly wrong. And the whole system that is set up there is geared towards the banks and everyone else, not the clients. And obviously, I lost against the banks.
Did you lose all your money?
Yeah, absolutely everything. I was at the point, and then from a business perspective, so back in Europe, I ran a very similar business for 14 years. And then the last straw with the business was when our largest client said that, yep, we are going out of business. So basically, GFC took all my personal stuff. My business was on the verge of completely crashing. I was at the point where, okay, I need to restart. And then the obvious question came that, well, if I have to restart, then why not start from scratch? Why not look around? And then that was the last push for moving to another place. And then that's how I ended up here.
You have got a business now.
Yes.
You started your business, you got your own home. That's something that you're really proud of.
Yes.
So you have been talking about moving from nothing to coming to New Zealand and establishing yourself as a small business owner in the IT sector.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about the journey from landing in New Zealand, and how did you adapt to the environment here in New Zealand, the rules, the language, the culture? It must be like a real situation.
It was definitely quite a shock, but to my biggest surprise, it wasn't a shock in a way that I expected it.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, I was obviously mentally, or so I thought, prepared for a complete change, a different culture, different everything. And I was also prepared for a very rough life for about 2 years or so, because I thought that that's how much I would need to actually establish something comfortable, which went surprisingly much faster than that. But anyway, so yes, I came here thinking that yes, I do speak English. In about 2 hours, I had to figure out that no, I don't. Even though back in Europe, I studied English for about 10 years. Yep, here I was destroyed in about 2 hours. Another cultural shock was that it felt like home literally the second I got out of the plane. Everyone was smiling,
nice.
Everyone was super friendly, and yeah, it was a very welcoming, awesome experience. Really not like in Europe where next, that kind of experience that you get wherever you go. When I moved here, I had a somewhat clear-ish view or idea in my head that, okay, this is what were the things that didn't go well in my life in Europe, like running multiple businesses, super complex life, living lives partially in one country, partially in another country, so on. I came here, I figured that, no, I don't want any of these. I just want a super simple life from 9 to 5, be an employee, and then enjoy the rest of the time. That was the plan. And then New Zealand changed it actually quite quickly. IT is an interesting field. I really love it because it gives you a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities to learn, lot of everything. It's a huge field, but there is one thing that it doesn't really give you: any sort of satisfaction when you solve something. So when it comes to a huge project, email migration, whatever, doesn't really matter. Huge project, the best that you can say at the end is that no user is complaining. It's not like, let's say, a builder where you can say that, yep, I built that house or something like that. And because of this, I always had some sort of side gigs. And then this kind of, okay, I'm not really satisfied with the 9 to 5 work. I started looking for alternative things. That, okay, what can I do? And one of the outcomes was that I started a small business on the side, laser cutting things on a small laser cutter, which was, by the way, from a business perspective, an utter disaster. So it failed miserably. within about a year.
Why did it fail miserably?
Oh, super simple. I didn't really do the market research properly. So I came up with an excellent idea. I jumped into the doing. And then when it failed, that was the point when I realized that, well, there is no need for the thing that I want to do. So the business failed miserably, but it was an awesome experience to actually show me how the business side of life works here in New Zealand and how shockingly easy it is to do business, which I think is both a very good and a very, very bad thing. I still remember the first time when I called, I had the first call from IRD. Yeah. In Europe, if you get a call from IRD, then it means that you are in incredibly deep trouble and you are looking at a huge fine. So when the lady introduced herself that I am blah, blah, blah from IRD, that was the point where, okay, I completely shut down mentally. I was already packing, organizing the flight tickets back to Europe. I was, I'm done here. It's over. The conversation went on. Long story short, it turned out that I managed to file my personal income tax incorrectly. Basically, I filed it for 10 years earlier, and she called me that I'm not 100% sure that what you try to do here, but why are you refiling for 2005? What do you mean? It was for 2015. No, you filed for 2005. Oh, that's a clear mistake. Then would you mind if I corrected it for you? Come again? Would you mind if I corrected it for you? Yes, it would be awesome. Anyway, long story short, so she picked up that I made a mistake. She didn't assume that I made that mistake intentionally. She corrected that mistake and she helped me to make sure that next time I don't make that exact same mistake. And I was just completely shocked that what just happened here? So no fines, no anything. She helped me. I love it. And that was basically the conversation that removed the roadblock from considering another business later down the track. And then eventually time unfortunately showed me that I'm a very bad employee. That's really not for me.
Why is it not?
I don't really like being told what to do and how to do. In most places, when you are an employee, in most cases, you are hired for your hands. Do this, do that, do it this way, do it that way. That is awesome, but that's really not me. So I like to use my brain, even in IT. To be honest, the bit that I enjoy the most is actually solving problems. When it comes to the actual doing, when I already know what is the thing that will exactly happen, that is, I still have to do it to get paid, but that's not as enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I could do the least while I was an employee.
So you became a business owner?
Yes. Then at one fine day, things changed at the business where I was employed. I decided to move on because it wasn't working for me. Then, as per always, an opportunity came up. And that was the thing that basically said that, oh, okay, I need to start a business.
What was the opportunity? How did it come about? How did your business come about?
The opportunity was just representing a vendor here in New Zealand because they didn't have any engineers, any contacts here. Later down the track, it turned out why, and then that whole thing again failed miserably. But it was the thing that got me started on the journey of actually running my own business. Yeah, but I had silly amount of failures over the years, but all of these taught me something, which in the next step actually helped me or pushed me in the direction where I am supposed to go.
Let's get into that a little bit. What sort of failures? Like, what are we talking about? Millions of dollars, or just hours wasted, or opportunities missed, or you were just not ready? What happened?
No, definitely not the millions lost. So I never had the opportunity to play with that kind of money. So it's not me. It's mostly significantly smaller amount of money, a lot of time wasted, a lot of energy wasted, these sorts of things. Even back in Europe. So yeah, when the first time when I really started in IT, I was about 14. Literally just at the end of primary school. And yet I had a bunch of customers, around 80 customers in my area.
Wow.
Yeah, obviously at that stage I had no idea what I was doing, so that business, if we can even call it like that failed because A, it was illegal, B, I had no idea what I was really doing. But it showed me that, it's actually really good when you do the thing that you like, you do it the way you like it, and so on. There were other businesses like we tried to sell electric scooters with my father in Hungary. We were the sole representative of that brand, and we really went in hardcore and everything. Exact same story. There was just a teeny tiny bit of problem with the approach. We were roughly about 12 years early to the market.
Wow.
Yeah, so people were just looking at what's this toy? So again, we didn't really do proper market research. We as people being very close to technology and electronics and these sorts of things, we thought that it's an absolutely epic idea. And this is the future. We are talking about like 2002-ish or something like that.
You were trying to sell electric scooters.
Yes.
Did you make them?
No. They were actually manufactured in another country in Europe. And they were looking for resellers in given countries. And in Hungary, no one was doing it.
Why do you think it failed?
Because we were way too early. In 2004, this whole electric whatsoever, or 2002, this whole electric scooter, electric car thing was just an absolute wild imagination and fantasy. And no one believed it. And basically no one wanted to buy it because everyone thought that it's nothing more than a toy. No one took it seriously.
Interesting, isn't it? When you think about it now, you think now everyone is using electricity somehow to power their computer, their car, and their scooter now.
Yeah.
Does that mean that people would be more open to an idea because other outside factors have prepared people's mentally, as well as you prepare yourself mentally for a breakthrough. So clearly, if people were prepared mentally for this whole electric car or electric scooter idea, they would have taken it up. But if you do it now, it's a different story. Clearly.
Yeah, I think it comes down to people are not really liking change, and also how quickly things are adopted. In this scenario with the whole electric scooter idea, we were clearly even ahead behind even the early adopters who started looking into this whole technology. Now it seems a reasonably easy choice because let's say you considered an electric car. What do? You ask any of your friends. I'm 100% sure that you have at least one friend who has an electric car, so you can very, very easily get first-hand experience.
Now you look back at this venture, and you were talking about you didn't do your market research, which has come up now twice or three times already.
It happened a couple of times. Let's be honest.
So if you do go back and you do a market research for that electric vehicle or scooter, how would you do it differently?
Well, first of all, we didn't do market research because both my father and I had no real idea how to run a business. We actually got through doing things, but we didn't really know how to build a business, and we weren't really, really aware of any details like market research or marketing or the actual things that you do to build a business to get it off the ground. So there's a reason why we never really did it. How it would be different if we did the market research, most likely we never ever even started doing that whole thing, because if we did the market research, then it would have been obvious from the very, very first second that it is a very bad idea, so just don't.
What would have told you this is a bad idea?
That there was absolutely no one doing it, there was absolutely no interest to it, there was absolutely no infrastructure for it. It was just way too novel.
And when the idea is too novel, it's no one is doing it, no one is adapting it, no awareness. It's just too difficult to even kick it off.
Well, if you don't have the appropriate network around you, it's just basically you against the world, then yes.
Is this,
And that was another thing that we didn't really have. So it was just the two of us.
is it why you sometimes better off not starting a completely new idea for a business? And it's a good idea to do something that other people are doing already because there's a clear need for that.
I suppose it comes down to what your desired outcome is. If you are curious and if you want to give it a go and you want to learn, and in other words, you don't really have anything to lose, then yeah, by all means, then yeah, just for the sake of experience, I think it's a good idea. But if you actually want to build something on it that actually, I don't know, brings in money or something, so something that is reliable, I personally won't do it. But that's just me. That's how I operate. So I have a level of risk appetite which is below what is needed for this kind of venture.
Let's go back to your business. What's your business about?
The business is about providing IT services to small and medium-sized businesses. I've been in IT for quite some time, have pretty good experience with all sorts of things, but one thing that keeps coming up is that it needs to be done and small businesses don't really care about it. Fair enough, IT is a tool for them, so why would they be super enthusiastic about the latest update of whatever computer? It's not their field. They are very enthusiastic about the industry that they work in. And we basically target these businesses so we can do their IT in a way that they don't see it at all. They just know that it's there, it's reliable, and then they don't really have to put any sort of thought into it.
Is there a bit of a resistance to getting IT sorted for business owners?
Yes, absolutely. There is. The reason usually comes down to two things. Or three, I should rather say. Most people, because they use a computer, they know what they are doing, which is, in most cases, is not true. IT is a huge field. So let's say we work in IT infrastructure. That is the computers, emails, networks, internet access, these sorts of things. If someone came to us that, okay, can you develop such and such software, still within IT, for the average person, I wouldn't know the first thing about that because it's a completely different area. So with this, what I'm saying is that it's a huge field with a lot of depth to it. And just because you can browse on the internet, it doesn't mean that you can set up your email, or you can set up your email properly to make sure that it actually does work. But this is one misconception that first we need to get through. The other one is that many businesses think that outsourcing your IT, like outsourcing anything, will cost you more. And usually what it comes down to is that they think that, okay, they need, let's say, 6 hours, 8 hours for a given task. And then they use that time frame with our hourly rate. Yes, that indeed is a huge amount. The thing that they don't factor in is that because we do have the experience and we do have the tools and we do this on a daily basis, in most cases we need a fraction of the time for that same task. So obviously we won't charge that much that they have in mind. And then the third factor that usually makes the conversations quite hard is that pretty much everyone has at least one very bad experience with an IT provider, an IT project, an IT something. They got burnt really badly, and because of this, they are very, very hesitant to start a conversation with someone new. These are the three things that I see very frequently, and once we usually got past these, then usually the conversation is reasonably easy. Yeah.
What kind of things do you actually provide for people?
Pretty much the things that are in front of you. Setting up computers, setting up your emails, your backups, these sorts of things.
Like you were talking about setting up an email. What does an email needs set up for? Like what? Please enlighten my mind here.
Okay, so from your perspective, all you see from an email is that, you start up your Outlook, your Chrome, your whatever favorite email application, you type up your email and then you click send. But in the background, a lot of things happen, and it's very, very easy to set up things incorrectly, and as a result, your email won't really get there.
Like what?
Like a very, very common thing that we see happening reasonably frequently is people come to us that, hey, our email is going to spam. Why? And then we dig into the details and, oh, well, yes, you set up this, but not this and this and this. How about, oh, I didn't even know. Well, that's exactly the point. This is why you shouldn't do it. And in some cases, it makes no difference. Yeah, your email went into junk. Life happens. It didn't really wreck the business. But more and more businesses rely more and more on emails, and email is becoming their primary channel of communication. Especially when you run a marketing campaign or anything like that, it's obviously crucial that the email does get to your recipients and it doesn't end up in junk or whatever other alternative folder.
Yeah, well, I know for sure that email automation is so important. Like having automated emails sent out to people at the right time and the right tone.
Yeah.
Because, you don't have to write it every time and that's automatically sent. Can you do that on your email these days? Automate them?
Yeah, there are a lot of tools that you can use for just simple basic email automation, or even do full-blown marketing campaigns where there is actually follow-ups, even potentially based on customer responses, which I wouldn't really do at this stage, but yeah, the tools are getting there. Yeah, there are basically, if you can imagine, then it can be done.
But do you have to use those third-party apps like a CRM? Or can you just use it straight from a Google email or an Outlook email? Or
technically, you can. It really depends on the scale or the volume of emails that you want to send. If you do it manually, it will work for a one-off or a couple of emails or so. But if you want to send emails en masse, then you definitely do want a tool that does the automation for you, and that is way beyond the capabilities of Outlook or Apple Mail or anything like that on its own.
One of the things that I really love about business is the fact that we can have an element of networking and community. See, I don't want to do anything in life that doesn't have community. I joined a new networking program called the Networking Group. The Networking Group is a collection of business owners and entrepreneurs and tradies here in New Zealand. The reason why I joined it is because I'm able to, every week, have a chance to show up and have a great conversation with at least 5 business owners. Get to know who they are, get to know their businesses, and actually find out how can we do business together. I have loved this experience so far. I think it's been such a great chance to, just practice my presentation skills, because you have to get up and talk about your business or talk about what you do. It's helped me to practice my delivery and helped me to share my mission to the world. It's been such a rewarding experience. And perhaps you might want to check them out. They are called the Networking Group, TNG, and you can find them online. Back to the episode. You were talking about what you do for your business. How have you been able to grow your business over the last, how many years have you had it for?
Yeah, I started this business in 2019, 5 years ago, a bit more than 5 years ago. I tried a lot of different channels, advertising whatsoever. The thing that really works is good old word of mouth. Do a good job and people refer you. That's really what works. Networking events and so on. Because of the 3 challenges that we discussed about why people don't want to outsource things. Even when they get past those things, there is the next level that, okay, there is a lot of trust involved in a relationship like this. Basically, your IT provider has access to absolutely all of your data. That's another hurdle that because of that, you actually do need to trust the person that you work with. Obviously, we wouldn't give the key to your house to a complete stranger, but you do it with a friend.
How, if someone is listening going, I need to work with an IT provider and I don't know how to scan and filter the bad from the good, what do people need to look for in a good IT provider?
Oh, that's actually an awesome question. I need to think
Thank
about
you.
that. How to put it in nice words.
We can bullet point it, if you like, into 3 points or 4 points, just to make it simple. In terms of what can people like? What's the criteria for a good IT provider?
I think transparency is a very clear one. So if you see a lot of cowboys out there who try to hide things on their invoice, in their wording whatsoever. So they basically are intentionally way too vague, even when you try to dig into details. I think that's a pretty good one. So basically know what you get. The other thing that is clear to me as a service provider, not really as a client, I think that because it's a relationship between two or a couple of people at the end of the day, make sure that you actually have some sort of connection with that person. So if you have a very very strong in your guts from the very first second, and that is how you leave the conversation, then don't do it. And ask for references. Definitely do ask for references. Because yes, let's say if I wanted to convince you that I'm the best provider ever, and we will do an awesome job for you. Yeah, that's just my word. Why take it?
Yeah.
Ask our customers, or check out Google reviews and these sorts of things. Obviously, if someone wants to really hide something, or really wants to paint a super nice picture, then yes, they can buy Google reviews, they can give you fake referrals. But I don't really see that as a real thing here in New Zealand, at least not yet. Here people to me seem significantly more honest and direct than in Europe.
You were talking about New Zealand being the land of opportunities. Why?
Yeah, so a super simple example of how I ended up running up a business or starting up a business in 2019. I quit my job. I had genuinely no idea what I was going to do at that stage. My primary focus was to actually move on, because I knew that it wasn't working for me. So I didn't have another job lined up, nothing. I was just there out in the void. And then there was this opportunity coming that, hey, I worked with this guy in the past while I was an employee. We worked on a couple of things, and he tapped my shoulder that, hey, are you interested in this? And that's how my business started.
You got asked, you got tapped on the shoulder.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. I just let people know that, hey, I'm out, I'm changing things, I'm available. And this guy came back that, hey, are you interested? Yeah, sure.
So what happened when he tapped you on the shoulder? Who's this guy? Is he your business partner?
No, he actually, back then he used to work for a software developer company, very reputable, very big global company, and he was their representative in our area, Australia and New Zealand. And he had a pretty good team back in Australia, but had absolutely no one here in New Zealand. And he knew that, New Zealand is slightly different than Australia. So here this kind of relationship is important, when people can sit down face to face to each other. And that is why he asked me that, hey, you're good with technology, you're sort of okay-ish with sales. Yeah, I'm definitely not a people person. So, but there are quite a few projects where we actually need someone who is on the ground there. Are you interested in? Yeah, sure. Let's do it. And that's what started. Or
can I ask quickly?
Yeah.
Did he know that you were open to opportunities, or he just a stab in the dark?
No. That was basically the only thing that I did after I left. That the people that I enjoyed working with, I just let them know that I am out and I am looking for ideas and opportunities. So
you had to go out and tell people, you are looking for opportunities.
Yes.
I mean, that is a massive step. That is a massive step to getting your break. If you didn't go out there and did what you did, then you wouldn't have. No one would have approached you, really, wouldn't they?
Yeah, 100%. And along these exact same lines. COVID hit, things settled down. I was literally bored, and I just started asking people, primarily at the different distributors, that, hey, any ideas? Anything that you see in the market that is clearly missing? And one of them came back with a very clear idea, or a very clear thing, that, yep, this isn't done by anyone in the market in New Zealand at all.
Are you talking about your business now?
No,
or was it something different?
I'm talking about one very specific part within my business.
Oh, okay.
So it was I would say it's a sort of a side gig within the business.
Do you still offer it today?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a specialized web store which focuses on one very specific vendor and one very specific device kind. It's in a nutshell, in plain English, reselling hardware.
Okay.
And no one was really representing that vendor in the country, and I was, why not? Let's give it a go. We had I did my part. The vendor actually out in Taiwan, so that this guy is actually working on it. Let's have a conversation. We ended up with a very, very good deal, which about a year later or so grew to something that we owned 58% of the market in New Zealand. I was just, okay. I really didn't see this coming, especially out of a beer conversation that, hey, I'm bored, help me with ideas.
It's quite nice when you think about it, isn't it? When you think back, the moments when you went out and made it known to people that you are keen to have some opportunities for you. So it's, well, when you're being open, it's kind of powerful. I truly believe that. Because if you were enclosed and thinking, oh, what do I do? How can I help? And I'm not going to tell anybody.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty difficult to.
Yeah, and people, back to the thing that people here are usually very, very friendly. Along those lines, people really want to help. If you ask for help, then they do genuinely want to help you.
Yeah, I know. It's just so fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's another sort of cultural shock for me compared to Europe. If you ask for any sort of help in Europe, based on my experience, then usually there is a very, very big price tag attached to it. Later down the track, it will come back as, do you remember the favor that I did to you? Yes. What do you want? Option 1, option 2. Yeah, I'm happy to help you. What's in it for me? Here it's, yeah, why not? It's just simply being a nice human. Part of that. So it's very different. So yeah, if you ask, then yeah, opportunities and ideas do come in, and that is the reason why I think networking and word of mouth kind of approach works for building a business.
And how did this play out when it comes to personality?
That's a very, 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 very funny thing. European background for me, yeah. From an interesting country, I am very direct, very black and white. There are usually two very, very, very distinct camp of people. They absolutely love it or they absolutely hate it. There is nothing in between. Obviously, I'm not for everyone. So yes, some people like the fluff. I'm very on to the point. So that was one of the first things that I sort of had to learn when I moved here, that emails, phone calls, fluff it up. I'm an introvert. Small talk for me is most exhausting thing ever. It's part of the conversation. Just go with it. For some people it works really well, and the longest relationships that we have with clients are really the ones where we do click as humans. So it's pretty much a filter. If we like each other's style, then yeah, we can work together in the long run. If we don't, then just move on. The market is big enough. There are plenty other partners out there, or IT service providers, who can do a better job for you, just because that works better with your style.
Surely you've had a lot of challenges running a business here in New Zealand. but also challenges in yourself as well. Like, what has been some of the biggest struggles for you?
I need a bit of time for this. Touch wood, from a business perspective, I would say that there weren't really any huge struggles. There were roadblocks, and there were dips here and there. For example, when I first started the business, I had a reasonably close relationship with someone. We grew apart eventually. No hard feelings or anything. We just eventually realized that we wanted different things. But back then, how the business was set up didn't really work towards the new goal. So it took quite some time to actually restructure the business in a way that adapted to the new approach that I had in mind.
How did that impact you?
It other than basically needing a huge change in the business model and how I operate personally or the business, there wasn't really a huge impact. Because whenever I go into any sort of change, I always plan ahead and I always prepare. So, for example, when I quit my job, everyone thought was that I was 100% crazy. What do you mean that you just quit while you don't have another job lined up? Surprise, surprise, I was preparing for this move for the last 9 months. So I have savings that will keep me running for the next year. So I'm in no rush and I'm under no pressure of finding a new job or a new opportunity because I knew that this was coming. And this was pretty much the same thing with that change. That, yeah, obviously it didn't happen from Monday to Tuesday. It happened slowly over time. The decision slowly happened. And then when I came to the point that, yep, it's time for action, I was actually prepared for it.
Can you tell me some of the biggest challenges and struggles in the IT sector at the moment? What do you see on the ground, as you offer services and solve problems for business owners who need IT support? What is really going on right now in terms of the biggest struggles? Is it cybersecurity? That's a big deal. Is it artificial intelligence? Is it the cloud services? Like, what is really going on at the moment?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think it really depends on how you approach it. From a large enterprise like Spark, Frontier, whoever, big company perspective, these are definitely very interesting topics, and basically any area of IT are super interesting just because they are huge. But what we've seen over the years, that for the small businesses, IT is just a tool they genuinely don't care, which is perfectly fine, totally fair. And when it comes to things like cybersecurity and AI, I see pretty much a level of fatigue that, yeah, we know we should do, yeah, it's not a priority. It's a bit of a challenge. Obviously, they need to use different tools than the large businesses, but they still need to do something. So just simply putting your head in the sand and saying that, oh, it hasn't happened to me, so I'm all safe, it will never happen to me, isn't really the best approach. But that's something that I see quite frequently with small businesses. AI, I believe, is on a very, very similar kind of trajectory, that it's really coming at us left, right, and center constantly. AI is the new for everything. It's an awesome tool. It will be a great tool eventually. Right now, I think that it's a huge bubble. It has awesome opportunities. We don't really know how to use it yet. We are not really aware of the risks of it. Simple example. Who likes taking meeting minutes? No one. So what's the very, very, very obvious thing? Google. Is there an AI that can actually take minutes and actions for the meetings? Yeah, of course, sure. Just install this. You install it, click, within 3 minutes you are up and running. Do you actually know what level of access to your data did you give to that AI? Do you know what that AI will do with your data? Even if it's just your meeting minutes. Let's assume that you are talking about some sort of sensitive topic. an incident happened at a customer and you really need to investigate it, and there are a lot of sensitive details in that conversation. Everything that you have there goes into that AI database, training that language model. What will happen with it? Will that pop up in another conversation that the AI is being part of? So you don't really know what happens there. You have to be quite careful about these. And there are a lot of gotchas like this which are not super obvious. So we personally stay a little bit away and just observe what is going on. But it's definitely an interesting topic. I think in a couple of years it will be a great extension once we actually figure out what is the right way, what to use it for, how to use it, and so on.
Well, this is a good point, because how do you know your data is being shared by other people through that AI app?
You don't. That's the biggest challenge. So an example for this is the image generators or the video generators. The image generators are mostly trained on images available on the internet. Adobe is actually going through this whole thing that they train all of their image generator on the stock images that they have, which begs the question on the side of people who created these stock images, then well, if you can recreate my stuff or my products, a photo, a whatever, using an AI, then what will happen to me? And on the other hand, why do you use my photos to train your AI? I don't get anything out of the outcome of that AI. And it's the same thing with music, the same thing with copy, and so on. That there are actually people out there creating that content that was used to train these models.
Do you think we should have AI regulation? Is it a good idea to regulate it?
100%. Absolutely. I do
Why?
think that, well, first of all, you do need to know what happens with your data. You do need to know where the knowledge came from that whole thing. And on the other hand, call me weirdo or scared or whatever. I think just letting a model wild on all the knowledge that we have and update itself, to me, that's actually quite scary. So do we really get to a Terminator kind of situation? The AI has risen. Yeah, technically there is possibility to it, and at the moment we are not doing anything about it to stop it.
Do you think AI is dangerous?
Well, anything can be dangerous. It really depends on how you use it.
Do you think AI is dangerous?
I don't think AI on its own is dangerous. I think it can be dangerous depending on how people use it. Basically, it trains itself based on what you ask it to do, what you teach it to do, and so on. And because we do have the influence, it can become dangerous eventually if we are not careful about what it can do.
Zoltan, I often ask entrepreneurs and business leaders for advice for people who are coming up to becoming business leaders like you, an entrepreneur like you. What advice have you got when it comes to building a business from the ground up? In fact, actually for you as an immigrant coming in from a European country and starting up again, we did talk about that, but there are a lot of people in your shoes right now as well, have just come to New Zealand or moved to a country. What advice have you got for them to be able to settle in and get their mojo going?
I think the biggest one is that don't afraid to ask for help. To me, that was by far the biggest change in the head. I was always very afraid of it. Now, no, it's pretty standard for me. But I think that's the biggest thing. And even if your idea is not 100% clear, just talk to people. People are not bad. They won't necessarily take your idea and use it as their own. They will genuinely want to help you. And the other thing is prepare, don't wing it. I see so many businesses, especially on Facebook groups. I'm a member of quite a few business groups on Facebook, where they say that, I had a good idea. I started up my business, but now I have I have this problem. How do I calculate GST and how do I charge? And mate, you're way too late with those questions. So prepare, know how your business will look like. And it doesn't have to be super clear that, okay, in 5 years, I have this many customers, this revenue and whatsoever, though ideally you do have, but have a clear goal. And then, you can break it down to easier steps and definitely prepare.
Is this what you do for your own business?
Yes. Yeah, I always have plans. I always have ideas and always have things that are in the works and figure out the details for this. Obviously there are always worst case scenarios that I prepare for. So for example, I hired Scott about half a year ago. He started in April. I got to a point with the business where I became my own roadblock. So I became the roadblock to the business, even though there were contractors and whatsoever, it just didn't work. So I knew that, okay, now I need to change. I need to hire someone. But I also knew that there is a level of certainty. There is a level of uncertainty with the business itself, how the market is going with all the changes and the interest rates and so on and everything. And I definitely didn't want to get into a position where, yay, I can hire someone. Yay, I hired someone. 3 weeks later, yay, I cannot afford that someone, so I need to fire them. So, I knew that, okay, by that time I wanted to have someone. I actually prepared for the whole thing. Okay, what will be the process? What will they do? And most importantly, I built up a bit of safety net. That, okay, if I lose this many customers, then how will that impact my numbers? How will I be able to afford him? And then basically I went into the hiring process knowing that if the business stopped working right here, right now, which is the absolute worst case scenario, and there is no chance for that, but let's assume, I would still have the money to pay him for the next 12 months on top of my salary. Which most people think that that's 100% overkill, and I'm absolutely crazy for this level of safety net. But this is how much I usually prepare for things.
Well, that's really, really good, I think, because it makes sure that you are ready to go when things don't happen as you expect them, don't they?
Well, to me, this is what works. There are quite a few people out there who I work with who thinks that this is an absolutely crazy approach because I just went to the way too safe zone. So why do I prepare for something that is basically impossible to happen? Which is fair enough, but still might happen.
Yeah, I think it's I'm inspired by that because I'm personally someone who can talk and can talk about anything, but when it comes to numbers, no, thank you. I'm not interested. And so I find it difficult to do planning. I mean, obviously I'm getting better at it because I have to and I want to. But when it comes to financial planning and projections and things like that, I'm good at goals, but not really good at knowing the level that you do it. You do it at a super high level. I found it inspiring. I found it's like something that I would really love to be in a position of doing. So. What about business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs who might be listening going, I want to start a business in IT and I don't know if it's oversaturated?
It is at it and it isn't. There are about 2,500 providers in the New Zealand market. So if you just look purely at that number, then yes, there are way too many providers. But a huge bulk of these providers are literal one-man bands. Same thing how I was like 2 years ago. And with the bulk of it, I mean that around 75%, 80%. So a huge majority of these. And it's actually the same thing for the target market, for the customers of these services. Those are also mostly small businesses. And again, people do business with people. So you just need to find your group where it actually works. There is plenty of work out there, even though there are a lot of providers. obviously now I'm speaking against myself and potentially creating competition. I'm really not afraid of it. There are quite a few other IT providers that we work together cooperatively. They do something that we don't do, we do something that they don't do, and then we just join forces, and then we offer better quality service. And we do it with quite a lot. Obviously, there are people out there who say that, oh, you are also in IT, I'm not talking to you. They are just not our people. There is nothing wrong with that.
And one of the final questions I have for you, Zoltan, is, I don't know if you have notes. Do you write notes for yourself? Do you write a journal for yourself?
No, everything is in my head.
Oh dear.
Yes. That's the right answer to that.
Okay. If I go into your head right now and what's going on in your head in terms of like diary style or notes, what is it that's going on?
I could actually compare it to a Chrome with about 47 tabs open and all talking at the same time. My brain is always running around and trying to figure out some things. It can be business related. It can be related to the renovation that I am working on. It can be details of a new idea. It can be details of a conversation. I'm really bad with repeating conversations in my head and just going over and over them multiple times, that I should have said that or these sorts of things. So yeah, my head is a huge mess.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Zoltan. I appreciated it, and I thank you for the insights that you've given us and the beautiful story of your immigration story from Hungary to New Zealand. And I think it's really inspiring for lots of people. It's been inspiring for me. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.